Welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, coming to you live from Lagos. A reminder of our major stories. A federal high court in Lagos orders forfeiture of $153.3 million belonging to the former petroleum minister, Diezani Alison Madueke. Federal government gets 70 million euros from the European Union to strengthen the health sector in Nigeria. The National Population Commission to begin pre-national census exercise starting from February the 20th. And a suicide attack in a popular traditional site in southern Pakistan kills over 70 people. Just to remind you now that for more on our top stories and others, please visit our website, channelstv.com and youtube.com/channelsweb. You can also watch us on the go on your mobile device. Log on to m.channelstv.com or download the Channels TV app for Android, iOS and Windows phones from their respective stores. Having the Channels TV and Channels 24 app will give you access to news and updates. You also have the Eyewitness feature, so you too can be part of the news. Just install the app, then tap and swipe to reveal the Eyewitness menu and follow the instructions to share those pictures, videos or news of happenings around you. Now let's take a look at some of those pictures that were sent into our portal, shall we? Let's begin with this one from Lokoja-Abuja Highway. Our Eyewitness reporter wants traders to stop loading vehicles this way. And here's one from Lagos-Ibadan Expressway showing truck. Our Eyewitness reporter is warning against such risky behavior. And from Apapa area of Lagos State, we got this one. Our Eyewitness reporter is asking residents to do more to protect the environment. And this one came in from Ikeja, the Lagos State capital. Our Eyewitness reporter is warning residents against blocking the drains with waste. Thanks for those pictures. Crossing straight over now to Abuja. Here's Ivy Clem. Ivy.
Hello, Ijoma. A total of 775 million naira has been earmarked for the third phase of the enumeration area demarcation, which is to commence on February the 20th. This is according to the chairman of the National Population Commission, Mr. Eze Duruhioma, who was speaking at a news conference in Abuja. The NPC boss added that the exercise is to take place in 37 local government areas across the states and the Federal Capital Territory.
Arrangements for the uninterrupted implementation of the EAD exercise in the remaining local governments, that is the 700 local governments, have been concluded. A 50-person demarcation team has been recruited in all the states and the Federal Capital Territory, and they'll be trained from 13th to 19th February. That is, their training is ongoing now and will be concluded about the 19th of February, to enable them to go into the field on the 20th. This team will be immediately deployed to the 37 local government areas under phase 3 and subsequently other LGS as soon as fund is made available. That's what I said before. Therefore, bearing fund constraint, the Commission should be able to complete the EAD before the end of the year and well ahead of the first quarter for the conduct of the 2018 census.
Nigeria's healthcare delivery is receiving a boost as the federal government has signed a memorandum of understanding with the European Union for 70 million euros to support the sector. The Minister of Health, Professor Isaac Adewale, says the fund will be used to strengthen the nation's already weak health system and eradicate polio. At the ceremony, the head of the European Union delegation to Nigeria emphasized the need to concentrate on reducing the nation's burden of maternal child mortality.
Nigeria's health sector has grappled with inadequate financing as national budgetary allocation fluctuates between 4.6 and 5.4% since 2011. The signing of this memorandum of understanding with the European Union for €70 million to strengthen the health sector is no doubt a huge relief for the government. The Minister of Health says the fund will be used to strengthen the nation's already weak health system and eradicate polio.
The grant will also contribute to health system strengthening in Sokoto and Anambra states, and also support the effort to rid Nigeria of polio. By 2020, EU will have strengthened 774 PHCs in 3 states of the country.
For the head of the European Union delegation, the federal and state governments should concentrate on reducing the burden of maternal and child mortality with the fund.
If you look at the global statistics of maternal deaths in the world, 10% of those maternal deaths are recorded in Nigeria. So we have to work on that. We have seen the polio returning to Nigeria. We have to do more.
Meanwhile, the Bauchi State Governor, who spoke on behalf of benefiting states, advocate the building of internal capacity in the states rather than waste the money on consultants.
The days should be gone whereby a lot of these projects are conducted through consultants, as a result of which a lot of the monies set aside for this going towards consultancy more than meeting the needs of the target groups.
Besides strengthening the already weak healthcare system in the country, 2.7 million children under 5 years of age and 850,000 pregnant women are expected to benefit from this funding in Adamawa, Bauchi, and Kebbi states.
Meanwhile, the United Nations is of the view that it may be too early for internally displaced persons to return home, as most of the over 1 million IDPs who have returned are stranded in secondary displacement camps. The resident coordinator of the United Nations Development Programme, Mr. Edward Callon, at a news conference in Abuja, said the government should not force people to return to their homes. But the Borno State government has insisted on closing all IDP camps in the state by May this year. Our correspondent Gloria Mozoki reports.
The humanitarian situation in the northeast is the 4th largest in the world. According to the United Nations, there are still about 8.5 million people in need of assistance in Adamawa, Borno and Yobe. 50% of them are children. As at December last year, 2.1 million people are in need of food in the region. The United Nations is hoping to raise $1 billion to address the needs of 6.9 million people, a situation that needs to be addressed over the next 18 months.
We have to put out the fire in 18 months in northeast Nigeria. If we don't succeed in putting up the fire in 18 months, the situation will become protracted and chronic. The root causes of this crisis is prolonged long-term development deficit, which has over the years been compounded by economic, political and religious factors.
Mr. Callon is also the humanitarian coordinator for the United Nations in Nigeria, and he explained that 76% of internally displaced persons live in host communities, which puts pressure on infrastructure and families. He advised against the plans to close the IDP camps.
I would like to urge the authorities to ensure that all returns of people to their homes are safe and voluntary. And people need to be well informed based on up-to-date and accurate information on their homes of origin. And I also urge authorities to respect people's dignity. We cannot tell people to go back when there is nothing for them. There should be no forced return, which will include arbitrary closure of camps without guarantees of safety, access to basic services, critical infrastructure, and humanitarian assistance.
Already, the United Nations is working with the National Assembly on a bill for a national commission to cater for peace, reconciliation, dialogue and mediation in the Northeast. Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
In Yobe State, reconstructed schools and police buildings have been handed over to the relevant authorities by the Presidential Committee on Northeast Initiative. PCNI also presented food and other non-food items to the Yobe State government for distribution to displaced persons.
The Presidential Committee on Northeast Initiative has its various teams touring the region to monitor progress of jobs done in the rebuilding exercise. A team is in Damaturu, the Yobe State capital, and their first stop is the seat of government, where the Deputy Governor, Mr. Abubakar Aliyu, and some state executive members hosted them. They list a number of areas where the state government is fixing infrastructure and other areas where it still needs help.
Provision of agricultural tools like tractors and animal traction package, building materials and cash support to enable the returnee IDPs to construct and or rehabilitate their houses.
That noted, the PCNI team moves to hand over the reconstructed schools and police stations, which are expected to ensure law and order in the area. This gesture is most welcomed by the State Commissioner of Police, Mr. Sumono Abdul Maliki.
Conducive atmosphere to work, no doubt about it. And that is very, very paramount in giving our best. Very, very paramount. That's not that way we would drive empowerment in doing our job better if we had no place to lay our heads.
Food and non-food items were also donated. The Deputy Chairman of the PCNI, Tijani Tumsa, insists that the initiative is committed to ensuring that normalcy returns to the zone.
We are committed to working in a transparent and accountable manner in delivery of goods and services for the victims of insurgency. The Northeast is particularly affected by the activities of the past 6 years, and the government is resolved to recovering all structures and the livelihoods of people resident within that region.
Beyond the rehabilitation of these schools and the police structures, residents say PCNI still has its work cut out if the means of livelihood of the people of the area must be uplifted. In the meantime, the Yobe State government says it is currently rebuilding the Katako Bridge as well as the Damaturu-Buniari-Maksa Road that were once taken by the insurgents.
And that's it from Abuja. We'll hand you over back to Lagos. Ijoma is waiting.
All right, thanks a lot, Ivy. And back here in Lagos, 2 people today lost their lives after a truck ran into a car along the Ikorodu Road here in Lagos State. Several others were also said to have sustained injuries and have been taken to hospital for treatment. According to an eyewitness, the accident occurred while the truck driver, who was coming from the opposite direction, swerved off the road to avoid a pothole and in the process crushed the commercial vehicle carrying 7 passengers. Now, members of the Southwest Zone of the National Union of Allied Health Professionals took to the streets of Lagos in a peaceful protest against what they call unfair working conditions. The group, comprising union members from Ogun, Oyo, Osun, Ondo and Lagos, started the procession at the Lagos University Teaching Hospital and ended at Government House in Alausa. When the news at 10 returns, the Central Bank of Nigeria denies any disparity in the allocation of foreign exchange to individuals and corporate organizations. That's on Business. Do join us again.